Hi guys, welcome to another list video. We're going to carry it on today with a little more impromptu, less edited video than the last one and my favourite albums video that's coming up as well. Today we're going to be talking about 20 of my favourite songs that have come out this year. For the most part, it's not really in any particular order, and I'm not going to really talk in depth about these songs because some of them I've talked about more in album reviews or in my favourite albums video. So I'm just going to basically just give you a little tease of what I think about these songs and just give you a bit of insight, and maybe you can discover some songs that you've never heard before. Starting off at number 20, we have Hammond Jr.'s song Set to Attack. This is the only song by Hammond Jr. that I had heard for a long time. I heard it pretty much when Francis Trouble, his newest album, first came out, and as a big Strokes fan I always wanted to hear more stuff from them after I listened to their albums, and Hammond Jr. is pretty much the only member of the band that has gone off with his solo stuff and made very similar stuff and not gone off into completely different directions, which is one of the reasons why I loved Francis Trouble so much. And Set to Attack is a really great song, definitely in the vein of a lot of the Strokes songs, especially more of their early material. It does follow a very like garage rock sort of new wave sort of sound. It's full of some really good riffs that I think are fantastic, especially that opening riff played. I think it's either a bass or a guitar, but it sounds really great either way. It's one of the more memorable riffs on the album, and Hammond Jr.'s vocals and melodies throughout the whole song are really great as well. It's definitely a highlight from that album in my opinion. Next up we have the song Paradise by George Ezra. Now I'll be honest, I've never really been a huge George Ezra fan. I've heard all his big singles, and although I've never really hated one, I wouldn't say I've ever really liked one except for Paradise, and I also like the song Shotgun from this year. What I think makes Paradise so good is it has a really strong hook and verses as well that somehow manage to pretty much be on par with that really good hook, which is very rare for a pop song in this vein. I love the instrumentation to the song. There's a lot of acoustic guitar, but there's also some heavy delay guitars later on. He uses that sort of stuttery delay effects that bands like Block Party have used a lot, and it sounds really great in the song. George Ezra's vocals are really great as well. It shows off his impressive range and how he does a great job of hitting some really low notes as well as really high notes. Production wise, the song is about as good as you'd expect a modern pop song in that vein to be. It's just a really upbeat, fun pop song, one of the better summer pop songs that came out this year. Next up we have the song So Soon by the band Indoor Pets. This is the first song I believe that they released under the new name of Indoor Pets, changing it from the name Get Inuit, which they were known as before. And this is just a really catchy, upbeat indie rock song. It shows the band doing exactly what they do best. They followed it up with the songs High and Being Strange, both of which are also really good, the latter of which was a strong contender for the list as well. It's one of those indie rock songs that you probably haven't heard, but you definitely should if you're into the genre, I guess. I don't know, I just really like this song. It's just really good. They're a great band, really underrated, and hopefully they catch their big break soon. Next up we have the song Starstruck by the band Sorry. Sorry are a very interesting band. They're coming out of the indie rock scene, but their influences seem to be all over the place, and that's definitely shown on Starstruck, which has a really great hook which pretty much loops throughout the whole song but somehow never really gets repetitive. Production wise, the song uses a lot of weird sounds and effects, and it actually works well. It has almost a noise rock sort of style to it, and I think it comes out really great. I love the lead singer's vocals all throughout. She sounds really great. Similar to the Indoor Pet song, this is one of those indie rock songs that probably got overlooked, but you should definitely check out if you haven't heard. Next up we have the song Cheetah Tongue by the Wombats. Easily my favourite song off the new Wombats album. It does everything that the band do best. It's a fun, fast indie pop rock song full of a really good riff which is simple yet really effective. I love the guitars throughout the verses, and it has the band's usual quirky lyrical content. It probably has some of the more surreal lyrics on the album which are very strange. I remember first time I heard it I was like, what is this? But they're definitely really well written in my opinion. I love the hook from it. It's probably one of the most memorable and catchy on the album. It's just easily a highlight. This is one of the only songs on the album that I think are as good as some of the previous stuff that they've released. Next up we have Meant to Be by Marmoset. It was one of the more hard-hitting and hard rock songs off the new Marmoset album. One that kind of reminds me a little bit of some of the stuff that they were doing on their first album, but way more melodic, definitely more catchy, has a great hook as well, has a really fantastic riff to it. Yeah, there's not really a lot I can say about this song. It's just a really great, straightforward rock song that is easily my favourite on the album. It is actually my most listened to song on Spotify this year, apparently, so yeah, definitely check this song out if you haven't heard it. Next up, we have All the Stars by Kendrick Lamar and SZA. This is one of the songs from the Black Panther soundtrack, and one of the only ones I actually thought was really great. Not just Kendrick's verses are really great, but I absolutely love the chorus to it. It's probably one of my favourite choruses that have come out of any song this year. SZA's vocals are fantastic. The melodies are super infectious and just get in your head. Production-wise, the song's really great. It's about as perfect a hip-hop song as you can get. Next up we have Humility from Gorillaz. It was definitely a huge step in the right direction. They're going for a more funky pop sort of sound, and it sounds really cool. Production-wise, it's probably one of the more interesting and catchy songs on the album. Vocally, it's really great. I can't think of anything wrong with this song. I really dig it. Then we have Corporation by Jack White, probably one of the more adventurous songs from Boarding House Reach. This is a song that pretty much plays out like an extended jam session. It has a lot of weird experimental sounds in it, especially from the electronic pianos. The song has a very digital sound to it. Jack White's vocals are really screeching and over the top, but they sound great. I love the drum loops that pretty much just loop throughout the entire thing, and instrumentally it's probably one of the more exciting and well-written songs on the album. It was very hard for me to pick between this one and Over, both of which I think are really great songs, but in the end I chose Corporation. Then we have Levitate by 21 Pilots. For a long time this was going to be like in my top 3, but I found as I listened to it more and more, its power that it had when I first heard it kind of was lost on me. I remember first time I heard it I was just completely blown away, and I still think it's probably the best song these guys have done to date. It has a very jungly sort of sound. I love how they blend in some of the influences that they had on their previous 2 albums, but experiment with them and make them more hard-hitting and aggressive than they've ever been before. Tyler's lyrics and rapping on the track are really great, show the band in a much more mature way. If you don't really like 21 Pilots, I still highly recommend this song because it's completely different to anything they've done before or anything else on the album, and it's easily one of the standout tracks of their career. Then we have Charity by Courtney Barnett. I really liked the new Courtney Barnett album. It was definitely a grower, as was the song Charity, which when I first listened to it, it never really stuck out to me. But when I listened to the album again, it just, every time I listened to it, that song, it appealed to me more. I got more and more into that song, and it ended up being one that I pretty much played on loop. It has a fantastic, very fuzzy sort of guitar riff, which I love. Courtney Barnett's lyrics and vocals are as great as ever. Yeah, it was very tough between this and City Looks Pretty, which I also absolutely adore, but in the end I just thought it's a more catchy, more memorable standout song. And then we have Pristine by Snail Mail, which is this very almost lo-fi sort of chilled indie rock song with some incredibly impressive vocals from the lead vocalist. Guitar work which is very simple, but that makes the vocals and the lyrics to the song kind of stand out more. I love the production on the song as well. It's very simple. As I said, with the guitars, it makes the vocals and the lyrics stand out more, which are both really great and elevate the song to a whole new level. And then we have This Is America by Childish Gambino. One of the most exciting and adventurous hip-hop songs to come out this year. Obviously takes huge influence from the trap movement, and production-wise it does a lot of stuff that pretty much every single trap song does. There's something about this song that I think elevates it way above other songs in the genre. The lyrics are very, very simple, but they're incredibly powerful. The song has a really, really important, powerful message behind it, which I think Childish Gambino delivers perfectly. And of course, the music video to this thing is still one of the best music videos I think that have come out this entire decade. Then we have Danny Don't You Know by Ninja Sex Party. Now this is a very odd choice to put on this list, but as hilarious as the new album is, I feel like Danny Don't You Know is a song that actually could stand as a serious song. It could actually work really, really well. Of course, lyrically it's very self-aware and funny, but the instrumentation and the melodies, especially that huge hook, are just all really, really great, harkening back to sort of 80s hard rock and glam rock in a way that never feels cheesy. It also has a really, really great guitar solo in there. I just love this song. It's one that I've just returned to non-stop. Then we have Enid Elko by Idols, a really well-written, interesting post-punk song. It's from one of the best albums of the year by a land mile. It has some really, really great riffs. Vocals are incredibly biting and aggressive. I love the lyrics of the song, which are some of the most eccentric and surreal on the album. It's a really, really infectious and memorable song that stood out on the album. Then we have Metric's No Lights on the Horizon. I love the new Metric album. There was so much on that album that I really adored, but No Lights on the Horizon just pretty much put everything else to shame. I think it may be one of, if not my favourite Metric song. It's a very, very beautiful, emotional, low-key synth pop song all about depression and getting through that because of a great relationship. It's a very sweet yet emotional song that I just absolutely adore. And then we have Swimmers' Berkeley's on Fire, a really, really crushing, pounding punk rock song with heavy funk and hip-hop influences in it. I feel like this song and the newest song that they've released show a huge amount of potential for their upcoming album, which seems to be a very different beast to their debut, which is going to be interesting. It seems like they're maturing a lot and embracing a wide range of influences, especially on this song, which is a very strange, aggressive song, which has a very strong political stance to it. It's a very, very powerful one, really catchy, exciting. I just highly, highly recommend this song. Then we have Bodies by Car Seat Headrest, technically a song that came out in 2011, I believe, with the original release of Twin Fantasy, but this new re-recording and reworking I think works a lot better. Production wise, it's really, really great. It keeps some of that original lo-fi sheen, but I guess cleans it out a tiny bit so it's more pleasurable to listen to. It's a really aggressive song, has some fantastic melodies, a really, really great chorus, which is easily one of my favorites on the album. The progression of the song is fantastic as well. I just absolutely adore this song. Next up we have Star Treatment by Arctic Monkeys. One that when I first heard the album, although I really, really liked it, I wouldn't have said it was my favorite song, but I just found myself returning to it over and over again. I love Alex Turner's stream of consciousness lyrics, which at times sound almost improvised. I love the loungy, jazzy sort of influence on the song, although there's no like grand guitar riffs or anything. I think the instrumentation all works really, really well for as simple yet beautiful sounding as it is. It's just a really great introduction to a very strange album. And now finally we have my favourite song of the year, which is Funny Turns by Ed the Dog. When I first listened to this song, I was just completely floored. I love the lead singer from Ed the Dog because he was previously in a band called Fish Tank, which I really, really admired. So I was excited to see him do something new under this Ed the Dog project name. And of course, I love the album. I'll talk about it more in my favourite albums list. But Funny Turns was a song that it just hit me really, really hard. It's lyrically a song about struggling to deal with life, essentially, something that the album deals with a lot. And it was a song that I think I discovered at a very important time in my life where I needed something like that to help me get through a lot of the stuff going on. And it has some of the best instrumentation I've heard from an indie rock song this year. I love the noisy lo-fi production to it, the melodies, the chorus, everything about this song I think is absolutely fantastic. Easily my favourite song of the year, easily, in my opinion, the best indie song of the year. One that I highly recommend if you're into bands like the Wombats or Arctic Monkeys. It's just a really great song. I highly recommend the album as well, which I'll talk about a little bit more in my favourite albums video. Anyway, that was just a quick little brief overview of my 20 favourite songs of the year. There was loads more songs that I loved from this year, loads more from all of the bands on the list as well, but I wanted to just keep it to one song per band, one song per album as well. I'm sure people will probably disagree with a lot of what I've put on the list, or people probably haven't heard some of it, so let me know what your favourite songs of the year were and I'll be interested to check them out if I've never listened to them. Thanks for watching, guys. My favourite albums of the year video will be out very soon. Thank you.